Our top focus story on the broadcast is the interaction between the LAC commander, Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, and his Chinese counterpart, Major General Lin Liu, the commander of the Chinese forces in the Xinjiang region. Now, the aim is to dial down tension. The question remains, is that both India and China's aim? India wants to dial down tension, but why is China doing this? Because of China's incursions along the line of actual control in Ladakh, and not just at Galwan Valley area and at Pangong Tso, India has increased deployment, and not just at the traditional disputed points or the flashpoints in Ladakh, but even in the middle sector and in North Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. Very clearly, India's aim is to stare the dragon down. The Indian Army has moved 155mm howitzers, field guns and additional troops to strengthen the line of actual control after a face-off with Chinese troops at the Pangong Tso and Galwan Nala. Though the situation is understood to have eased at Galwan but remains the same at Pangong Tso, the army is clearly taking no chances. Troops have already been positioned along traditional flashpoints in Ladakh, including at Depsang and Chumar. Intelligence inputs had indicated the need for strengthening defenses.
We must continue building our infrastructure on our own side of LAC to make life easy for our troops which are deployed along the LAC. Chinese have built their infrastructure. Capacity building takes time. Intentions can change overnight. And Chinese have shown their intentions quite clear.
The fact that the first face-off took place at Nakula in North Sikkim and was followed up by transgressions at multiple points in Ladakh point to a wider Chinese plot at the line of actual control. The Army and the Air Force quickly deployed additional forces at flashpoints and other important locations. In Chumar and Depsang in Ladakh, Parahoti in Uttarakhand, along multiple locations in North Sikkim and in Arunachal Pradesh.
जो अपने माउंटेन फॉर्मेशन है रिजर्व, जो हमारे इन्फेंट्री फॉर्मेशन है रिजर्व, और जो हमारे आर्मर्ड फॉर्मेशंस हैं, उनमें से ऐसे दस्तों का और ट्रूप्स का गठन करें जो कि काफ़ी तेज़ी से इस इलाके में डिप्लॉय हो सकते हैं, जैसे कि मैकेनाइज्ड इन्फेंट्री, जैसे कि कुछ एयर डिफेंस के दस्ते, कुछ स्पेशल फोर्सेस के दस्ते, कुछ नेवी के दस्ते अगर ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो इन सबको हम उधर तुरंत मूव करें.
India has also deployed artillery, armor, infantry combat vehicles and additional battalions along the LAC to deal with any military adventurism. India's rapid mirror deployment has also sent out a signal about India's defense preparedness. Both Sukhoi 30 MKIs and Mirage 2000 fighter jets have been flying sorties along with heavy lift aircraft moving men and material ahead of talks between senior commanders of India and China at the Moldo border meeting point opposite Chushul in Ladakh. China wants to keep India confined to South Asia, but India's growing stature has the dragon rather uncomfortable. Its incursions, whether in Galwan Nala or Pangong Tso, are to put India on a back foot. But the army is now effectively deployed not just here but also at other flashpoints including Depsang, Chumar, Barahoti in Uttarakhand, North Sikkim and along the Arunachal border. India wants peace but with respect. With cameraman Kripal Singh in Delhi, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Akshita Nandgopal, who now joins us to explain this entire dispute along the 4,000 odd kilometers of line of actual control from Ladakh in the western sector to Arunachal Pradesh in the east.
Good morning, Gaurav. And yes, I'll just break down quickly the disputed areas that have been identified along the line of actual control by both India and China. Let's first start off in the 1990s, where a number of areas were designated as contested areas. This was identified at the joint working groups. First, in the western areas, Trig Heights and Demchok in Ladakh. Then you have Barahoti in Uttarakhand, which was also recognized by the joint working groups. Then in the eastern sector, you have Namkachu in Arunachal Pradesh, other areas like Sumdarongchu, Yangtze, you have Asafila and Longju Bisa. So these were identified in the 1990s by the joint working groups. Then in 2000, during an exchange of maps in the middle sector, 3 areas in fact were identified: Korik, Mormi Dogri and Shipkila. After that, 2 years later, again there were a few more areas that were added into these contested areas. So this was in 2002 during a comparison of maps where 6 areas were identified in the western sector. They included areas like the North Samar Lungpa, east of point 6556. You also have, of course, the Spangur Gap and east of Mount Sujum. So these were some areas during the comparison of maps in 2002. Now, besides that also, there were also some other areas which were also identified, and this was based on actions by the Chinese troops. In the western sector, it included the north bank of Pangong Tso as well as Chumar, and besides that also in the eastern sector, you have the Dichu area, the Debang Valley, parts of the Debang Valley as well as Lamang. Now, interestingly also from these 23 contested LAC areas, Gaurav, 2 areas, the Galwan Valley as well as Hot Spring, where you've seen these current transgressions and tensions, they're not part of this particular list.
Oh, absolutely, Akshita. For the moment, many thanks. And that's the point on which I want to bring in my colleague Shiv Arur and both, of course, General Shiketkar and General Kulkarni. Shiv, instead of solving problems, China seems to be adding more problems. And that's the problem. Galwan wasn't a dispute. And China, in 2020, when the world battles COVID-19, China adds Galwan to the dispute.
You know, Gaurav, we don't need to mince words here. You know, as we speak, the meeting between Lieutenant General Harinder Singh and Major General Lin Liu of the South Xinjiang area has begun in Moldo on the other side of Chushul in Ladakh. And we don't need to mince words here as far as China's intentions are concerned. This has gone way further than, you know, simple muscle flexing. We are all very, very clear that this isn't just a routine, standoff between India and China. You and Geeta have very ably put together the context of what's happening, the pandemic, China being closeted in geopolitically. All of that is a reality. But this is a China that wants to assert itself. Remember that conflict is power as far as China is concerned. Possession is 9/10 of the law. The fact that it is mobilized in such a big way is also a very large indicator, Gaurav, of any high expectations from this particular meeting. Of course, India has mobilized as well. But as you rightly pointed out, the fact that armor and artillery have moved close to the hot springs area, the fact that, positions have been taken in the Galwan Valley, which was never part of the disputed list in the first place, all points to, whether China will even be convinced to move to a status quo ante position. Because let's remember that as these two generals, the Indian and Chinese generals, meet in this highest level military contact that has ever happened before, the best case scenario for India at the military level, Gaurav, is for China to be persuaded to move to a pre-May 2020, position or a status quo ante. And my feeling is, will China even be willing to do that, considering the amount of effort that has been invested in mobilizing in such a large way? Obviously, the message is much larger. Obviously, there is an effort to actually change the status quo on the line of actual control. And therefore, I am being very cautious about the results from this particular meeting.
Oh, absolutely. I'll come to General Shiketkar and General Kulkarni in just a moment. What are China's intentions? The fact it's mobilized more than 2 brigades in this area in high-altitude Tibet, got them to acclimatize and then deployed them and transgressed. Is it putting pressure on India at the World Health Organization, or is it China being wary of India coming very close to the United States of America and Australia? Or is there something far deeper, troubles within China? All that and much more on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.